YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back. Today we're ranking every NFL team on their safety duo for the 2021 season. Most of these are pretty clear cut on who the duo will be, but some teams it's no guarantee that their safety duo is set, so we kind of had to predict a little bit here, but pretty confident that we'll see these safety duos start week one. We're going to do the same thing for corner duos, all kinds of duos across NFL positions. We'll rank secondaries as well, rank receiver units, all types of different rankings already on the channel, more to come, and predictions as well here. We got you covered, so smash that like button, subscribe. Be much appreciated. Any link that you're looking for down in the description, comments, just like our Twitter at GoatHouseNFL. Updates on the channel, updates on the NFL, sports in general. We're always talking. There's some polls on there, so make sure you check it out. The top 32 safety duos. Here we go. Starting at 32, the Falcons are coming in last here, unfortunately. Deron Harmon likely playing strong safety and Richie Grant likely playing free. I suppose a bit they could be interchangeable. Richie Grant did get some reps kind of lining up over a tight end, over a slot receiver. Could be more of a strong safety. What I liked about him was his ball skills in the back end, so I hope he'd be the free safety. They do have Eric Harris, who can play free safety as well. This is likely the duo. Obviously not the best duo. The Lions do come in second to last, but this is a sleeper duo here. Tracy Walker looked like a really good safety his rookie year, which was surprising. We haven't really gotten that since, and it's been a little disappointing since, but he still has that talent in him. And Will Harris, I like that at Boston College. A lot of these Boston College safeties have been working out, of course. So this is a sneaky safety duo here, but for right now, I put him at 31. Justin Reed, we know, is a solid safety. And Lonnie Johnson Jr., who switched from corner to safety last year, kind of fits his style of play a little better. But now the Texans change coaching staffs. Lovie Smith leading the defense. Will he stay at safety? Based on what they have at corner, I'd say so, but it's definitely interesting here. 29, Jeremy Chin and Justin Burris of the Carolina Panthers. Jeremy Chin playing more of a strong in box role last year. We'll see how much that continues. They move on, surprisingly, from Trey Boston, and that hurts him a little bit because it was pretty solid last year. So towards the bottom here. Donovan Wilson and DeMonte KZ of the Cowboys. Donovan Wilson surprisingly played very well last year. I'm not in any way doubting the man, but I'm not really sold yet. Still a young player. I wasn't high on him out of college, so we'll see if he can. He had some clutch turnovers. Tough to repeat. Can he do that? So still has more to prove, but an impressive young player so far. KZ is a solid free safety, playmaking free safety, but the chances of injury, you hate to say, pretty high. So that's the tough part here with this duo. The Jags got a brand new duo in there, Rashawn Jenkins and Andre Sisco. The tough part with this is, to me, I think they're both free safeties that could play, that can move around a bit. Sisco didn't play too many games last year, got hurt pretty early, but they were using them kind of both, free and then put him in the box a little bit. But what stands out about Andre Sisco, who I loved as a prospect, is his ball skills in the back end, kind of playing that free safety, being a playmaker. So that will be interesting how they run things over there. The Raiders, another sneaky one, towards the bottom, but they could be sneaky good here. Jonathan Abram and Trevon Merrick, the rookie from TCU, which I think a lot of people like that pick, was a fantastic prospect. And Abram was a fantastic prospect as well, but has been a little underwhelming. Abram will play, a strong safety, can play in the box, can cover the slot guy, whether it's a tight end. He has the physicality to come up and hit, or, again, cover that tight end. So maybe playing more of his true role now. Maybe a little bit of an adjustment period for Trevon Merrick. I keep mentioning this, that people really don't realize. A lot of people just say, well, he's a free safety. And that he can be a free safety, but it's not necessarily true right now because you look at where he played at, he really thrived this past year. Where did he play? He actually played strong in the slot more than he did at free safety. He has kind of the build in the range and the instincts to be a free safety, but he didn't fully play there. He kind of played everywhere, and that is where he stood out because he's so versatile, could do a bit of everything. So maybe a little bit of an adjustment period I just don't want the Raiders to stick him only as a free safety, which I kind of think they are going to do that. But either way, he'll be good. He's going to be a talented player. It just might not click right away. It wouldn't surprise me if it did, though. The Ravens at 25. The Ravens are a tough one because their safeties don't really play like traditional safeties. They run a lot of cover zero, corners and man coverage. They'll blitz not only the inside linebackers, but they'll blitz their safety, specifically Chuck Clark. I think Chuck Clark's a pretty good box safety, a pretty good strong safety. That when you need him to blitz, he's pretty solid at it. I suppose he can line up on a tight end if you need him to. He's okay at that. Sean Elliott stepped up. When they had to move on from Earl Thomas, stepped up as a free safety. But what everyone kept saying about the Ravens, they still need a better free safety, even though Elliott's getting better. That was kind of the constant complaint there. It coverage-wise plays a big part in my safety rankings. Their coverage just comes straight from their cornerbacks, of course. So that's where they kind of take a hit. They've been solid at the same time. It's kind of a tough one to rank because they're just different than everyone else. It's just the Ravens' defense is different. It's fun to watch. Next group of players here, I got McCourty, and this is where it's a tough one to predict who will start at safety opposite of Devin McCourty for the Patriots. Adrian Phillips played by far the most for them in that position last year, so I kind of went with that. I know they have that second-year Kyle Duggar, small school guy, so there's going to be a time where he gets in there, but they were really hesitant to use him last year. They also signed Jalen Mills from the Eagles, who has played corner and safety. I don't know if they kind of have a plan, obviously, but I don't know if they firmly know it's going to be a training camp battle. Mills, I almost got the feeling they would play him at corner. They slapped that tender on J.C. Jackson. It almost felt like they wanted somebody to take that bait so they can get a second-round pick. And maybe they were planning with, Mills to play corner. And then you have J.C. Jackson needs a contract who's going to play it. Turns out, nobody else signed him off that tender. He's going to play for the Patriots this year. Then you have Gilmore, who is still rehabbing the injury and then wants a bigger contract extension as well. So we'll see there. McCourty declining a little bit, still solid, kind of carries that group a little bit no matter who that other guy is. Anthony Harris, Rodney McLeod for the Eagles. It's a sneaky good one. Will Anthony Harris be as good as he was 2 years ago? Played like an elite safety 2 years ago. Last year, a little underwhelming, going from that Vikings, Harrison Smith, Mike Zimmer defense to the Eagles, where secondary players, defensive backs have been struggling. It's very tough to tell. I think he's a good playmaking safety. Don't get me wrong. For sure think he's a good playmaking safety. So I'm excited about that signing. It was kind of a steal in terms of the money. It's just kind of up in the air how this group will play. The 49ers, Jimmy Ward and Jaquiski Tart here. They also signed Tony Jefferson. I think he'll kind of be a rotation guy. Could be used as a blitzing strong safety in a way. Maybe we can see all three on the field at the same time at times, instead of a slot corner or, another linebacker. This group hasn't really had that one really good year. That year they went to the Super Bowl. They're still solid. They still have some chemistry. But they come in at 22. 21, another sneaky solid one, in my opinion, a sleeper one here. The Dolphins, Eric Rowe and Javon Holland. We don't have big names here. You got a rookie here in Javon Holland. Holland could play free, could play strong, could play in the slot. We'll see where they use him. I hope they are versatile with him because that's what he is. He's a versatile player. So this could be a pretty sneaky one. We see Bobby McCain go out, Holland come in. I think it's for the better. Bears at 20, Eddie Jackson and Deshaun Gibson. This one has potential to be a lot better. My big problem is that they have two free safeties. That's what the problem is here. And they kind of play a split safety at times, and there's times where they play Eddie Jackson at free, Gibson at strong, and the opposite. And I just don't like that. Eddie Jackson could be one of the best free safeties in football if they allow him to be. So a little bit of change in the staff. We'll see if they change that up a little bit. I really it was more of wishful thinking, but I was thinking they were going to move on from Gibson and just try to get a true strong safety so they could put Eddie Jackson at free because, again, I really think he's a very good free safety. Just hasn't really been what he's been, the last couple of years, and that's the Bears' fault. The Rams, pretty underrated one here, Taylor Rapp and Jordan Fuller. They also have Terrell Burgess, who is a safety, but I do like as a slot guy mainly, and they do as well. I think that's why they kind of let Troy Hill go. But Rapp and Fuller played surprisingly well last year. Wasn't expecting a whole bunch from him. Big game against Tom Brady on that primetime game, but had other games. Rapp I really liked as a prospect. He was getting a lot better last year before he got hurt, so just got to stay healthy. It felt like no matter who was playing safety for the Rams, that defense, they had him balling out. So I do like that group as an underrated group here. Derwin James and Nasir Adderley. Derwin James kind of carries that group. It's also tough because Will Derwin James be 100% healthy? Nasir Adderley could be a playmaking free safety, get his hands on the ball in the back end, still needs to grow a bit though. So maybe a little carried by one guy, also some injury concern. Another one that's carried by one guy is Minkah Fitzpatrick carrying that group. And then Terrell Edmonds. Edmonds has not lived up to the expectations of a first-round pick, the hype of a first-round pick. He's been disappointing to me. There's been crucial moments where he's out of position, taking bad angles, diving at legs, missing tackles. He can hit if a guy is straight up for him. It's got to be put on a platter. Not much in coverage. He's physical enough to cover a tight end if you need to from the box. He's been extremely underwhelming. He needs to step up now. Fitzpatrick really carrying that group, and a group that's being carried. Some people would argue maybe more towards the bottom, but Minkah is that good where it's not all the way at the bottom here. Next group of guys, a little bit of carrying going on, but Amani Hooker has been showing some solid signs next to Kevin Byard. But remember, they had Kenny Vaccaro in there as well, who took a step down last year. So now they go with Hooker, who can play strong or he can play in the slot. They also add Elijah Molden, who can do both. I'm thinking Hooker plays strong, Molden plays in the slot. So therefore, Byard and Hooker are your duo. I like Hooker out of Iowa as a prospect quite a bit. So this is his chance to step up. Budda Baker and Jalen Thompson, a little bit carrying going on here. Thompson still has some upside. He can get better, but Baker really had to carry that secondary last year. I do worry he has to do it again this year, but he's such a phenomenal talent here. But Thompson, there's still hope for me from his game that he could step up. Landon Collins and Cameron Curl. Cameron Curl was surprisingly a very solid rookie safety last year. Wasn't a big name, of course. The problem with this one, we haven't really seen that Curl getting going where he was playing with Landon Collins. How will they mesh together? So it's a tough one to rank, but it looks pretty good, top 15. Antoine Winfield Jr. was a phenomenal rookie as expected. He's going to continue to get better. A guy that plays all three positions that he can play, meaning free safety, strong safety, and slot corner, box safety, similar. And then Jordan Whitehead, who was actually phenomenal in the playoffs, I thought. Before then, nowhere near phenomenal, but still a young player getting better, and they're still growing that chemistry. They also have Mike Edwards, who they play as kind of a strong safety. So it's all centered around Winfield, depending on where he's at. Whitehead's more of the free safety. So when Winfield is playing strong or playing in the box / slot, then Whitehead's in. When Winfield's kind of playing in the back end because he's a playmaker, don't forget Edwards is in at the strong safety. I actually like that trio a lot. Not the biggest names. I guess Winfield made a pretty big name for himself, but they're pretty sneaky good as well. The next group of guys here, the Colts. Yeah, speaking of really not big names at all, kind of under the radar here. I think they're pretty solid. I got them in the top 12. They're both young and getting better too. I think they're pretty interchangeable, which makes sense because the Colts really don't have a true free safety, a true strong safety. It does feel like Blackman could be a better free, Willis a bit better strong, but they play a lot of split safety, a lot of cover too. We'll see if they continue with that. So they're just split 50 and 50 a lot of the time, but you do see Willis kind of running up. I seen that from Blackman, which was surprising, kind of running up, making plays on the inside. That was a little surprising. So good young safeties here for the Colts. And they had Sean Davis out of Florida, who's kind of that same style, like he can play a little bit of both. So I actually like what they're doing there. Jabril Peppers and Logan Ryan. Logan Ryan was always a slot corner, played a little more safety last year, but they also have a list of guys that can kind of play there. Xavier McKinney being one, a young guy from Alabama. So it's kind of up in the air and who they will use where. It's really tough to figure out. I think you're going to go off game plan. It's kind of a game planning team. It's going to be game by game, how they're going to use, where they're going to use guys, who's going to start. So they got a deep secondary, but Peppers Ryan coming at 11. I like this young duo here. Marcus May played out of his mind last year, and Ashton Davis, I was a big fan out of California. And later last year, he showed some signs that, yeah, he can be that special safety there. Both have experience playing free and strong. Love that. I like Davis as a playmaker in the back end. I mean, he was really – his big moments, I thought, last year were running up and making plays in the line of scrimmage or around there making hits. So that's kind of what stood out Ashton Davis. So it's definitely debatable, but I think his range and his athleticism in the back end and Marcus May being able to do all kinds of different things around the line of scrimmage and even covering guys one-on-one, that's kind of where I like them, but they're pretty interchangeable. I love that, why they're in the top 10 and now under Robert Salas, too, his defense here as well. Matthew and Thornhill, I mean, in the past, you probably would put Matthew and Sorensen here, but Thornhill keeps improving here, so he could kind of step in there and take that role a little more. But I mean, we've seen all three of them on the field at the same time here, but they come in at number 9, very solid one there for that Chiefs defense. Next, got Harrison Smith and Xavier Woods. I think Harrison Smith carries a little bit, but I think Xavier Woods has kind of been up and down his career, had some good moments, and mainly being inconsistent, but playing with that Cowboys secondary, pretty tough. Also coming in the NFL as a corner, now safety. I think as soon as you plug a guy in the Harrison Smith defense, Mike Zimmer defense, safety position next to Harrison Smith, I think we all could expect him to be a little better with the Vikings at least. So that duo is always strong. We usually, there's been some over the Harrison Smith era, Vikings are usually at the very top, so not quite there, going from Anthony Harris to Xavier Woods, but I still think top 8 here. John Johnson III and Ronnie Harrison. Remember the Browns acquired Ronnie Harrison last year. They have quite a few guys that can play. Grant Delpit was a safety from LSU, a high-profile guy. I like him more as a deep ball safety, so that's really out of the question in terms of a starter with John Johnson there, but they will find a way to use him for sure. But so they actually have a pretty good trio is my point. But I do like this duo. John Johnson, kind of the feature guy there. Marcus Williams, the Saints free safety. Malcolm Jenkins, they're strong, but you will see some split safety looks here with their 2-man under there, kind of just backing up the corners and man coverage. But Marcus Williams, a good young safety that's getting better, as a deep coverage guy for sure. That's where he stands out. Jenkins, maybe declining a little bit, but has those instincts for sure. Can play strong, split, and then play in the box as well. Jesse Bates, who's a top-tier safety in today's NFL, in my opinion, maybe top-tier playmaking free safety as well. And they have Von Bell. Speaking of the Saints, Von Bell coming from the Saints, a solid, young, strong safety, can play in the box. So I do like that good young duo. Bates is obviously the featured piece there. Now we go on to the top 4. Pretty damn close. I think 4 is pretty clear. The top 3 I think is pretty damn close. But Jamal Adams and Quandre Diggs. Diggs being the free safety, of course, and Jamal Adams being the strong safety. A lot of time used as a blitzer, almost like an edge rusher, maybe sometimes outside of the edge rusher last year, and then can man coverage as well. And then Diggs being kind of that coverage guy in the back end. Obviously, Diggs maybe not as good as where he was a few years ago, but a lot is asked of these guys because they don't really have the best coverage from the corners, and then they don't really have the best edge rush, so they are covering quite a bit. And Adams plays a big role where he has to get at the quarterback as well. Number 3, really like this young duo here in Adrian Amos and Darnell Savage. Amos, the strong safety, of course, and then Darnell Savage is that playmaking free safety. This was a raw prospect out of Maryland. You saw that he had range. You saw that he can read the ball. You saw that, he had the athleticism to go with all those things. Therefore, you have a future playmaking safety, and he's kind of already been that. This is kind of a wild card to possibly lead the league or be up there in terms of interceptions. So really good duo here. They really complement each other very well. And you could argue they could end up being number 1, just like number 2 here, Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde of the Bills. They've kind of been that number 1. I can kind of debate myself that I can put them there. They're just such a complete duo here. A lot of split looks where really one isn't, they're neither are free or strong. They're just the Bills safeties. But there's times where, they can line up like that. They're pretty interchangeable. Poyer, the more consistent one. I think Hyde has more of that wow potential to him, but overall, both pretty consistent. I got Justin Simmons and Kareem Jackson at my number 1 spot here. It helps that Justin Simmons is, if you watch my safety rankings, is my number 1 safety for this upcoming season. I think what they added at the cornerback position makes these guys better, like Justin Simmons, and Justin Simmons is only getting better as a single high free safety, which is very tough task there. So that surely helps them be number 1. But Kareem Jackson's been, even at aging a little bit, he's been fantastic. He's such a good strong safety. He's got crazy good instincts. He's just so good at flying after the ball and making that play on the ball, whether it's on the ground or underneath. So he's a very good duo as well. And they drafted a couple safeties too, so we'll see. It's going to be interesting, guys. I really like Jamar Johnson out of Indiana, but I thought he was purely a free safety. There was some that thought he was a strong, but that was only because the plays that Indiana had him blitz. He's a pretty good blitzer, basically, but he's a playmaking free safety. So how is that going to pair with Simmons? I know they got Caden Stearns. We'll see if they work him in at corner. Wasn't a big fan of him, but they're looking for the future duo next to Justin Simmons. But for right now, Kareem Jackson's definitely a valuable piece still. So I was glad that they kind of kept him around there. Obviously, 1-year deal, kind of cheap, was surprising. So yeah, the top three I think are in a league of their own, in my opinion. If Jamal Adams kind of stays healthy, picks his game back up in coverage, Diggs too, they can get back in the conversation. But yeah, these top three are pretty damn big time here. So we're gonna do the same thing for corners next. And then we're going to put the entire secondaries together, slot corners as well, and just rank the secondaries, which very important, obviously, if you have a damn good secondary or not. So those are my rankings. Let me know your guys' thoughts, your rankings down in the comments. We're always talking on Twitter as well. There's a link in the description comments for that, as well as some other things that are pretty important. But, a lot more of this to come, full NFL coverage here. So join us, subscribe, turn notifications on. That would be much appreciated. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.